Since the beginning of the year, we've done a lot of work around identity. Yesterday, we were thinking about our reading identities when we were listing the books and the authors who have made a deep impact on our lives, thinking about books that we read when we were little, all the way through elementary school. A couple of weeks ago, we did some work around our personal identities when we did our identity webs. And this work comes from a woman named Sara Ahmed. And Sara challenges us to think about how our multiple identities influence how we read the world and how we read texts. And that's the work that we're going to do today and going forward as we encounter new books or even old books that we're reading again. So today, I want to teach you that readers remain alert to how their identities influence understanding, but also how our identities can limit understanding. So I want you to watch me do this work for just a moment. A book that I've read recently is Before the Ever After by Jacqueline Woodson. And as I was reading this, I was thinking about how my identities influence my understanding of this book. And one way that that I was influenced by who I am as I encountered the text is that I'm a son, and I look at my dad as one of my big heroes. And that's what happens with ZJ in this book. ZJ admires his dad very much, as does the neighborhood and actually hundreds of other kids and thousands actually, since his dad was a professional football player. So I was limited in my understanding of that aspect because while my dad is my hero, my dad's not a famous football player. So I was a little bit limited there. ZJ's dad actually suffered many head injuries from playing football with multiple concussions and is having issues around his memory. That's another place where I was limited in my understanding because I don't have family members who have had Alzheimer's or suffered memory issues like this. So that was a window into that world. It's a great book, so I suggest you reading it, but I wanted you to think about how I was thinking about my identities as a son, and having a father who I admire very much, and I could relate to the character in that way, but then I was limited in other ways. And that's the work that I'm asking you to do as you encounter text in the next, well, over the next year and hopefully over your lifetime, right? So today, as you were reading, you might be thinking about, again, that mirror and windows idea, right? And how do the text mirror who you are, but give you windows into other cultures, other worlds. And that has to do with our identities and who we are. So grab a book, start reading. You might continue that jotting work that you've started if you're doing that. If not, I just want you to be mindful of how our identities can influence the way we read a text and how they can limit the way we read a text.